What is going on, everyone? It's James here from LFC Transfer Room, and today I'm going to try my best to explain why I believe Liverpool Football Club is for full sale and not partial sale. So we're going to start by looking at contracts. I think contracts gives a really good indication about how FSG have primed the club to be sold to another owner. Currently you have 4 or 5 players that contracts are due to expire, and there's a lot of lazy media out there saying that this is going to be renewed, that's going to be renewed. But if you think Milner, Naby Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Firmino, their contracts are all due to expire at the end of the season. Now that's worth approximately 200 million over 4 years, 250 million over 5 years. You know, you start to add that up, that's a big war chest of money. Now, the reason Liverpool have done this, in my opinion, is because what they want to say to a new owners is you pay £3.84 billion to buy this club. Here is 300 million that you could spend in the transfer market by taking a transfer fee, spreading it over 8.5 years like Todd Bowley's done, or over 5 years, and you can add wages into that. Here is £800,000 a week that you can take out of our wage bill without touching FFP and invest into the squad without you needing to spend a penny. Now, if you were about to spend £3.8 billion and someone says, here's £300 transfer kitty for free, you would almost certainly take it. And this is one of the key indicators for me where you start to look at what Liverpool have done financially to prime themselves. Because when you run a business, what you want to do to maximise the value of your business is strip it of as many expenses as possible so that it looks as profitable as possible. Now, football clubs are slightly different, but if you have a load of contracts due to expire, well, that's a lot of room in the wage bill, especially with new financial regulations and stuff like that, for them to be able to invest in the squad. So when you look at the players that are due to expire, I don't believe the contract renewals, I don't believe people are going to be extended. I believe they're going to let them walk out the door. So a new owner's got a big war chest of money that they can spend, because as you've just seen there, £52 million a year in wages if it was £1 million a week. That is, let's take Jude Bellingham. You sign Jude Bellingham over, let's say it's 100 million. You'd sign him over 10 years. That's 10 million a year, and you've got 52 million there, just used. So you could buy Jude, and then you might say 100 grand a week. So, okay, so you could comfortably afford an asset like Jude Bellingham, even if you've been sold and you're not having to go into your own pockets as an owner. Now, the second reason I believe Liverpool are for sale and not for partial sale is Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp has 3 years left on his contract. The shorter Jurgen Klopp's contract, the less valuable he is as an asset to be able to sell. Now, Jurgen Klopp is one of the top managers in world football. So if Jurgen Klopp is there for the next 3 years and he's come out publicly recently and said he is here for his contract, well, isn't that just a lovely sellable asset for you to be able to say, we've got the best manager in world football locked in a contract and he's yours. If it's 2 years left, if it's 1 year left, it doesn't feel the same, does it? The third reason I believe LFC are for sale and full sale and not partial sale is look at what they've done. Look at what FSG have done. They've done some good things. You know, they've expanded the stadium. They've moved the training ground. They've sold off the elements that needed to be sold off. They have Liverpool in a primed asset position. And there is very little things they as an investment firm can do now to increase the value of the asset apart from success on a football field, which takes risk and gamble, which their investors will not allow them to do. So what you've got now in FSG is we've rebuilt the stadium, we've rebuilt the training ground, we've got people locked into the contracts, we've turned this club into an element where that you could invest £300 million quite comfortably and it really not hit FFP in the slightest. What is the best thing for us to do? It's to sell it, because there is nothing exponentially going to come. There's no Super League, there's the new Champions League format, and we'll come on to that next. When you think about the new Champions League format and why this is good for the sale of the club, Liverpool, if they don't make Champions League this season, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to strip them of millions of pounds worth of income like it did for Manchester United when in their Adidas contract, because in the new Champions League format in 2024, there is what's called a legacy clubs, and there's 2 legacy places for clubs that have had substantial success in the Champions League. Now, currently, when you look at like the CONCACAF ratings, Real Madrid are number 1 and Liverpool are number 2. So if Liverpool didn't qualify for the Champions League next season, okay, but they would qualify for it for the season after because of that CONCACAF rating. Even if Real Madrid didn't qualify, we would automatically qualify in second position. So again, if you're trying to sell a club, Champions League's not really a problem. It all comes down to that CONCACAF rating and what we've done previously. Now, the final reason I believe Liverpool are for sale is I don't think if you're trying to sell part of a football club, you contact Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. They deal with big business sales, and I think this is part of the reason why we're not seeing any transfer activity in January. When you're putting together a pack to sell a business or sell a club, you plan out what is going to happen over the next 12 months in terms of incomings and outgoings, sales, so contract renewals, transfer fees and stuff like that. And this is where I do think Liverpool have made a mistake. They'll have probably put in that contract that we're going to spend 40 million in January. We might spend up to 40 million in January. And they spent it on Cody Gakpo. And I think this is why we're not seeing any additional January transfers, because Liverpool have matched the output that they have in the contract. Because there is definitely money in the club for them to invest. There is definitely freedom coming financially. They're not going to breach any FFP rules and regulations. They can spend. But the only reason they can't be spending is if they've put together a sale pack that has a quantifiable amount that they would spend. And if they were to spend more than it, it would change the negotiation position which they have of multiple people interested in the club. And what they can't afford to do is start a back and forth going, we've changed this element, we've changed that element, and then you end up in the whole Mike Ashley trying to sell to anyone that would take them, and then just negotiations falling apart. So I think Liverpool are following a very strict set of financial rules that FSG's board and all their investors have agreed to, which probably means no more dollar being spent in January, I'm afraid.